I thought paying off our house early would be the proudest moment of our lives. Turns out, it just made it easier for someone else to try and steal it. This random guy calls me one afternoon, on our landline, of all things, and says he bought our house. Yeah, says he drove by, saw we were still living there, and thought it was odd because, according to him, we were supposed to be gone 2 weeks ago. At first, I thought it was a scam or some mistake, but the guy had details, our exact address, the supposed sale price, and that's when the cold panic started creeping in. My wife Megan and I had worked for 15 years to pay off this home. It wasn't a mansion, but it was ours. No more mortgage, no more rent, just a solid little house in a quiet neighborhood. Technically, there's an HOA nearby, about 5 streets over, but we've never been part of it. Never signed anything. Never received a bill. For 15 years, not a peep from them. So I drove down to the county courthouse thinking, there's no way this is real. But guess what? It was. They had records showing our house had been foreclosed and sold for $200,000, which is nuts, because it's worth almost double that. I asked who sold it. They said the HOA, and I laughed right there at the counter like it was a punchline. We're not even in an HOA, I told them. The clerk just shrugged and handed me the contact info, still holding on to a sliver of hope. This was some bureaucratic error. I drove to the HOA office. I walk in, hand over the paperwork, and the lady behind the desk barely looks up. She goes, "Oh yeah, we foreclosed that one last week. You should have moved out by now." I told her, plain and simple, "We're not part of your HOA." She actually laughed, like I was the one being ridiculous. "You are," she said, "and you haven't paid dues in 15 years. Then she asked, "Where do you think the hundreds of letters and voicemails went?" What letters? What calls? We'd never gotten a single one. And when I said that, she rolled her eyes and told me I had until the next day to vacate, or they'd get the police involved. That night, Megan and I sat in silence, just trying to process everything. The house we worked for, sacrificed for, gone. Just like that? We agreed. Time to lawyer up. Next morning, we met with an attorney who specializes in HOA cases. Guy looked like he'd seen some things. He started digging into their practices and found a disaster. Missing records, hundreds of online complaints, data breaches, misfiled deeds, the works. And the best part? No proof that we were ever properly notified. No paper trail. No recorded communication. Nothing. We filed a lawsuit to challenge the foreclosure and reverse the sale. While we waited, I made a post online explaining what happened, mostly just to vent. That post blew up. People were furious. Some shared their own horror stories. Others offered legal advice or just moral support. Turns out, HOAs are not exactly winning any popularity contests. Then came the second twist. A representative from the HOA showed up at our door, said he wanted to resolve things quietly, asked us to delete the post because it was upsetting the community. I just stared at him and said, "You stole my house, and you're worried about your reputation?" He tried to push for a private meeting. "Let's handle this like adults," he said, even tried to wedge his foot in the door as I was closing it. So I did what any reasonable adult would do, kicked his foot out and slammed the door in his face. Court day came a few weeks later. The buyer, the guy who called me, showed up too. Nice guy, honestly. Said he had no clue the sale was shady. Thought he got a deal. Apologized for all the chaos. We told him we didn't blame him. He wasn't the villain here. The HOA's representative? Same woman from the front desk. Arms crossed, zero remorse. The judge asked her to provide proof that we were part of the HOA and had been notified. Her response? "We sent hundreds of notices. Judge, where are they? Her. We don't have them, but we're sure they were sent. Yeah, that went over great. The judge looked through everything, and I'll never forget his words. Without sufficient evidence of notice, this foreclosure is invalid. Full ownership is to be returned to the original homeowners, and the HOA is fined $300,000 for emotional distress and financial damage. You should have seen the look on her face. We walked out of that courtroom grinning like kids on Christmas morning. The buyer actually joined us for a drink later, said he figured it would end like that. We joked about it. But deep down, Megan and I knew, if we hadn't fought back, if we'd just panicked or moved out, we'd have lost everything. And here's the thing, this could happen to anyone. A clerical error, a shady board, an overreaching HOA, it doesn't take much. That's why people need to speak up. Pay attention. Know your rights. Because there are folks out there who count on you not knowing. Anyway, that's how the HOA tried to sell our fully paid-off house and ended up paying us instead. So tell me, do you think HOAs have too much power? Or was this just one bad apple? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every one. And if you've ever had your own HOA nightmare, I want to hear it. And hey, don't forget to hit like. Share this story with someone who might need to hear it. And subscribe for more real homeowner drama every week. You never know. The next story could be yours.